Here's what we do. This is going to be super fast. You got a high-speed blender, and I already put my 1 cup of water in here, okay? And we're just going to add these things in here. And it probably has ingredients that you might think are weird. What are these? So you soak it overnight, and then you rinse it really well because it's going to rinse brown. And it just, technically speaking, I don't think you need to soak it. The point of soaking is to help aid the digestibility, just like you soak your beans. Some people cook their beans without soaking, right? But it's best if you soak. It helps digestibility. So we're going to dump all this in there. This is my the first 2 ingredients: the buckwheat groats and the sunflower seeds, soaked overnight and rinsed. Thank you. And then we need half a cup. Do you remember that half a cup that I brought? Anyone over there in the runner field? I had that little metal half a cup. Yeah, I brought it for something. Here it is. Thank you. So we're going to measure out half a cup of arrowroot. And again, if it's something weird, like this is weird stuff for me, right? This whole recipe is new for me. I think the Squire started it 2 years ago, and they make a big batch, and I just started it a month or 2 ago. So arrowroot is new for me, and I think I buy it on Vitacost online maybe, but it's just a white powder. Basically, it's a carbohydrate. When you look at it, fiber and carbohydrate is what it says. The honey is a tablespoon, and we're going to wing it. Do you want me to do that, or you want to? Okay. The tablespoon of honey. And then do we still have our teaspoon out here, or did it end up back in the kitchen? Sarah? Yeah. That would be fantastic. All right. That's probably more honey than we wanted, but that's okay. We'll just have some extra sweet. Now, I had never done this before. Is Nina here? She had a recipe for a honey alternative for our vegan friends, and I didn't quite nail that down. I was going to try, and it didn't work out. So if hopefully the honey will work for everyone here tonight. So here is, we need half a teaspoon of salt, and then I think that's everything. Sandi, yeah? The point of the honey in that, oddly enough. Do we have a mic? Wait, hold on for the mic, sweetie. So Mark is the expert on the waffles because he's been doing it for 2 years. No.
Okay, so the point of the honey is so that the waffles turn brown.
Right.
So we've actually used apples. And I'm sure you could put in, just sugar or maple syrup, anything. But the point of it is to give it some color because we've made it without any sugar. And then they are white, and that's
vanilla?
boring.
Not yet.
Yeah, it did call for vanilla. We need 2 teaspoons, and that's only a quarter, right? So we're going to need to use 4 of these.
8.
Oh, this is half. Okay. Wait. And we need 2 teaspoons, so we need 4 of these. Here, I'll get that. You get this, I'll get that. All right. So, and I think we got everything else. Let's check. We got the buckwheat groats, we got the sunflower seeds, we got the arrowroot, the honey, vanilla, salt. Yes, this is a super fast recipe. It's super fast. You put everything in the blender, and for my blend tech, there's a button that says batter. I hit it, it goes 23 seconds, and it's done. Here. Yeah, sorry, I should have opened that in advance, right? Does anyone without gloves want to open this? These gloves are impeding my progress. Oh, I think I got it now. All right. Yeah, so 4 of those. And then Nina had a recipe for honey alternative if you want to avoid honey, where she was taking dates, medjool dates, and soaking them in water. And so that was her trick. So
There's a date syrup too. I wonder if that.
yeah, anything really to be sugary. And he said apples. So I hit the batter button. What you're going to do, can you hear me okay, or are we off? So you have to have a special waffle maker. I got a waffle iron in grad school. So that was like 1998 maybe. So my waffle iron is like 24 years old, right? works like a charm for 24 years until I tried this recipe. And I cried and I was calling Trudy Squires and I said, this isn't working. And the reason why is because if you notice our ingredients, there's no oil in here. And so my 24-year-old waffle iron wasn't going to handle it. So we got this special waffle iron that is ceramic. And I'm going to do the first one to show you how full to make it. And then it makes, this iron holds a lot. And I think we'll make 2. So fill it about like that. And then there's a little trick on this one where you make the timer and you hit it, like keep hitting it until it goes to 7. And then you also have to flip it.
Flip it first.
Yes, okay. So in 7 minutes it's going to ding. And we're going to take it out, and you probably maybe take a run to the kitchen to get something to, 2 things. Well, this will, yeah, a plate to put it on, and then you can use this to get it out. Okay, now, is Anthony my second chef? Yes. Okay, then if you can just monitor this when it dings and put it on the plate, and then do the second round, and that's pretty much it. So you can come on, Anthony, and we're going to do the tofu scramble. So I am going to have Jeremiah help me with the plugs. I don't need any blenders at the moment. What I'm going to need is, I only need 2 burners. So we probably can get rid of this red one. Let's knock this out and use this one. I'd only need 2 because Heidi's going to help me in the kitchen over on that one. And then
I'm the high-tech guy.
he's the guy who needs the orange tape. All right. So, okay. So Heidi, I'm going to start my scramble now. It's up to you if you want to do yours now or later, but we're going to just, Anthony and I are each going to take one, and I think we're going to have one there and one here. Oh, is that kind of tethered? Sorry, my friends, didn't mean to do that. So Jeremiah, this can't move over any further to the right. I'm just going to keep it there. I've never used this bad boy before, and I don't even know, am I going to get feedback? If I go over there, I get feedback. Okay, I'm super sorry. Here's some gloves, and this is our recipe. And I did not pre-make this because I didn't want it sitting around dying. So we're going to make more than one batch. I think we're going to kind of just, this is your recipe for home. We're going to do a little bit bigger recipe here. That's what we're going to do. So the tofu, I get firm, thank you, Jeremiah. I get firm tofu, and I crumble it with my hands, and so, whew, this is a heavy bowl. So, you know, this is tofu, and it's probably not all going to fit in our pans, but we'll do as much of it as will fit, right? And I don't always follow the recipes exactly, because my experience with tofu is it takes a long time to brown it. So I'm going to start, I think they tell you to do something else first. I'm going to start with the tofu. And so,
What temp would you like this in? 300?
like, oh, is it 3? Oh, wait a minute. Is this like a frying pan or is this?
It's a Skittle
Oh,
thing.
it's like it's like my
Griddle,
pancake
not a
griddle thing.
Skittle.
I gotcha. Okay. So what is it on? 250?
250.
Let's make
But
it.
you shouldn't have feedback now.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to make it 350. And I usually use like a skillet. Is this one on for Anthony over here? I don't know how those things work. And sorry. Yes. So we're going to start. Now this one, so the first recipe was oil-free. Now, how am I going to cook this without oil? So this is nonstick. That we always oil that. I don't know if it's possible or how to do it. So I have my oil, but if you have any recommendations.
Well, there's always water.
Do you have a mic? Is his
So
mic
figure it out
on?
if it's on.
Water. So you would use
Water.
water. I gotcha.
You can use water. When you do use water, you have to be on it more because oil, it's very slick and you don't have to add more to it. But when you're using water, it burns off, and so you have to keep an eye on it. But that's the healthiest way to do it. You probably wouldn't want to use I don't know if you would use a vegetable broth, but that's another option too.
Right. I remember reading about that.
It's got some flavor to it. So.
Okay. Do you want vegetable broth? No, not right now. So how would you feel if I used oil today? Would that make you sad?
No. I mean, look, we're trying to meet people because not everybody can cook with water. So
I'm learning.
if we
Okay.
can use oil, that's,
I don't know
that's-
what's
that's
going to
fine.
happen with water in my cast iron skillet.
yeah.
Sean,
Well, to just make sure that everything goes nice and smooth, we can do the oil. I won't,
I need to
tell
practice
anybody.
more on the water.
That's
Okay.
okay.
So I'm hot over here. Is your pan hot?
It's just starting up.
Okay. So I'm going to add not too much.
We have a question, Miss Sandy.
Okay.
I don't have a question, I just, what concept? Does it work? Oh. I'll second what you said. You just have to stay on top of water. You can use it in anything. You just have to
you
stay
do,
on top of it.
because the water
Walk
burns
away, you're
off.
going to burn it.
It burns away,
Right.
so you have to
Walk
stay
away,
on
you
it.
burn the food, but if you stay there, water is the best solution.
Yep.
Okay. You're going to use this guy for your iron skillet, and I'm just going to start with the tofu, and I'm just going to dump a big batch of tofu without really measuring, because it's very unexact at this moment when we're just like, I don't know. You never know how many people are going to come to eat, and you kind of multiply, and the math, you would think I could do math, but I can't, because I did all these waffles on Wednesday, because I think how many waffles we're making right now is like 2 waffles. So I made all my waffles. I did all this math cranking out numbers, and somehow it didn't work out. But don't worry, the waffles turned out. They still taste good. All right, so I'm just going to make it look about right. And that guy. So if you get a big chunk, this is how I do it. I just mash it. And again, this is firm tofu. And I get the kind that, they didn't used to do this. You used to had to press it. Oh, that's it. No. Hold on. Sorry. That's a 60-second warning.
Oh, okay.
If you want to dump a pile in yours. So you got 60 seconds. Did we get a plate? We did. And then when that's done, you can just fill up. And then I think your job might, I don't know, is that going to all fit? That is going to be a little bit too much, but yes. And then we're going to need to run that blender to the kitchen to wash it for the smoothie. All right, who sees what I did? Oh, I gave it to you. Okay. We're good. Christian told me, whatever you do, Mom, remember to smile. Because, there's too many things going on. I'm like, ah! So thank you, Christian. Do you see my smile? I'm smiling, right? Okay. Perfect. That's about to ding. And then we'll let you do your waffle. So, look, guys, I crumbled up way too much tofu, apparently.
Is that enough?
I'm going to give you a little bit more.
more?
Take a little bit more. And then, there we go. So, on this guy, you don't want to use this. So, I'm going to use this guy right here. Yeah, just because it's ceramic. I stole your job, didn't I?
That's okay.
I'm such a control freak.
I watch, I just.
All right, you can do that one. Don't dump it all, but you saw how full it was last
Doesn't
time.
matter which side the.
Dump it in the
waffle is on.
middle. Dump it in the middle and then flip it over. Yes. So this is the waffle that pops out. It's brown because of the honey, like Mark said. A little bit more. Fill it to the ends. Yeah, more. It takes a lot. Keep going. Okay. Yep, and then if we can get a runner. Okay, so set that, yep, close it, flip it, and we can wash this guy.
This, I said it first.
Well, flip it. Yeah, and then just keep hitting it till it goes to 7. Now, this waffle iron, so when you first get a ceramic waffle iron to handle the oil-free, I had to figure it out. So the recipe, I think, said 8 minutes, and that was browning it too much. It was like burnt kind of, so 7 minutes turned out good. So at the first, you might have to figure it out, but okay. Now, on the tofu, what are we doing? I'm just going to brown my tofu. And the tofu takes a long while. Oh yeah, it's browning nicely. Yes, question?
How brown is brown?
Well,
What does it look like?
so tofu's pretty white, right? It's pretty white, and you can come over here and look and see what I have. Like, it's brown. You'll see how long I cook it. I cook it a long time. And so that's why I ignore their directions, because tofu for me takes a long time. I like it to be brown. And And then, you know, tofu has no flavor. You got to flavor it yourself. So tofu can be really good or really bad depending on what you do with it. Yes. And if they're too big of chunks, I'm going to use my spatula and chunk it up a little bit smaller. I have several tofu recipes I really like. One is a barbecue tofu that my husband loves, and it's kind of the same thing. Crinkle it up like this and soy sauce and some other things. And then another recipe that I do is like jerk tofu for black beans and rice. And it's the same thing. I'm crinkling it up like this, and I'm seasoning it with all kinds of goodies, just depending on what you want to do. But it always gets nice and brown, always. So what are we going to add? We're going to add the onion, the pepper, and the kale. Yeah. So, yeah, we're doing good. Am I smiling? Okay. How's it going out there? Like, everyone good on the waffles? Like, are you thinking buckwheat groats? Where am I going to buy that? Where do I buy mine? Mark, where do you buy yours? Azure Standards online. I think I buy mine either at the cheese shop in Stanton or Stewart's Draft, or I buy mine on Vitacost. Where do you buy yours? Anyone else? Cheese shop? Okay, so we are browning. Just takes a little while. Oh, you know what else? You know what? Onions, you want onion to cook a while too, so I'm going to throw my onion in there. So we probably don't want to use all of this since we didn't use all of that, but we're going to add Is anyone offended if I used a gloved hand to reach in here? I don't want to gross anyone out. I'm going to use my hand and just grab some onion. All right? The onion you definitely want early on. I forgot about that. Because you want it to cook pretty well. And then, what else? The pepper. Yeah, we could probably throw the pepper in too. We have peppers for you here. You clearly don't want to use that whole bowl. I'm going to add some pepper. Does it smell good out there?
Yes.
So if you follow the recipe for the tofu scramble, you shouldn't go wrong. If it tastes a little off, it might be because I'm eyeballing it incorrectly, but it looks to be a good mix here. We'll just blame Anthony if it all goes wrong, right?
You could always blame me, yes.
Okay.
Blame the new guy.
Yes.
It's typically me, so.
Oh, I see now. I'm starting to see what's going on
Yeah,
here.
see?
I think, Anthony, you want to do, can I give you more?
Yeah. And actually, when you add these in, you're adding a lot more water to it, so that also helps it too.
Thank you. He's our whole food plant guy who knows way more than I do. All right.
Probably not.
We just did that. So.
We got everything on the list except the kale. Now the kale, we did not massage our kale like Jeremiah and Michelle did the first night, but it's still very green. But we chopped it, we washed it, and I'm gonna throw it in near the end because it doesn't take long. We just want it to like shrink up and cook just a little bit, right? So what I might do now is you really just, this is kind of just like, it just needs to brown, and it just takes a while. So there's not a whole lot of fun to do except just make sure it's browning, and if Anthony is using water or vegetable broth, then he would have to pay more attention. And right now, my brain is spastic, and I probably would mess it up. But I am gonna, when I go home and cook this, I'm gonna have a sound mind, because I'm not cooking for like 30 people, and I'll be able to focus and do it with water instead of oil or vegetable broth, right? Cheer me on that, because that's an endeavor. I need to switch. So, what we did here, oh no. How are we going to divide this by two? I'm going to stir this up. So, Miss Heidi, can you get me a stirring spoon, like a teaspoon? Because Heidi pre-mixed all my spices so we wouldn't have to take the time to do that. And we're going to divvy it up between the two of us.
Okay.
And Anthony, she made enough for all this tofu. So we probably don't need all this spice, but it's better to have too much than not enough, in my humble opinion. So we're going to stir this. This spice mix, you see it on your list, right? It's sea salt, garlic powder, cumin, chili powder, turmeric. Now, the recipe says water to thin, and I got this recipe from Heidi, who's in the kitchen with the tiny tot, who I think he's almost a year now. Happy birthday, Weston. He's coming up maybe in a week or two. That's exciting. Anyway, Miss Heidi is in the kitchen, and she brought this tofu scramble. I think it was a Thanksgiving. We have a Thanksgiving brunch at church, and she brought the scramble, and I said, you've got to give it to me. So anyway, you'll see it on your list. It was minimalistbaker.com. At the bottom, I kind of tried to give my sources. So I got this. The waffles were from the Squires, the tofu scrambles from Heidi. All right, so now this, you need my little thingy, don't you? This guy. So, Jeremiah, we are done with the waffle iron. If you could unplug that and plug in my blend tech, would be fantastic. And Michelle, if you can take the waffles to the kitchen, oh. Nice.
They came beautiful.
Okay, I'm just gonna be up front. I am accustomed to my buttermilk waffles, right? That doesn't go in the ceramic, it goes in the regular El Cheapo 24-year-old waffle maker. So this is gonna have a little different texture. First of all, it's gluten-free, which works because my daughter is gluten-free because it took away her headaches that she had since she was 5. So that's a miracle in itself. So gluten, right? So she's gluten-free, and so I love that my kids enjoy the flavor, and it's really fantastic. At this point, I think I've sufficiently mixed up our spices that Heidi put together for me, and we're gonna, oh no, here's my spatula. We're gonna add it to our tofu, I think. Oh no, I'm not gonna add mine yet. Mine is still too white. I'm not gonna add it till it's brown. And right now, you know what? It's pretty white. How's yours looking, Anthony?
It's starting to brown up a bit.
Is it?
Maybe a little bit too much.
Really?
But then again, this one might not have gotten the oil, did it? Did this one get the oil?
Well,
Or this one-
we keep those pans oiled, and Sean likes to keep his iron skillet oiled, so I think he oiled it today.
Can I lower it?
So yeah, it's not oil-free. Sorry, guys.
Is that going lower?
Mine is not brown enough, so I'm not going to add my spice until I like the color of it, okay?
That's all, right?
What? Sean is making bad comments back there. He's tormenting his poor wife. So, what I might do, I think this tofu, we're all done, right? Except the spices and the kale. That's all we have left to do, right? All it's got to do is brown. So that's the stage we're at. So what I might do then is let it just keep doing its thing, and if you need to pay attention to yours, do so. If not, you can...
Yeah, it's kind of browning up a bit.
Okay, you pay attention
I
to
had to pull
yours.
some of it out.
Oh, I'm
See
sorry.
that over there?
Oops, feedback. My bad. I need to stay away. Okay. I've got all the stuff over here for a third recipe. Now, I told you we're doing breakfast, or someone told you we're doing breakfast. I wanted to do breakfast and lunch for several reasons. One reason is people don't know what to do with tofu, and I had all these great tofu recipes, and I was like, which one am I going to do? And I said to myself, man, I've been doing a smoothie since grad school. It's been I don't know, was that 24 years ago or whatever it was? Every day of my life for 24 years, I've got to share that. And it's nothing special because there's a bazillion recipes for smoothie out there, but to me it's wonderful. And you might be like, I like my smoothie better, and that's fine. But if you've never had a smoothie, tonight's your night to try it. So I said to myself, well, I want to show them a smoothie, and I really want to show them tofu, so I'm going to do breakfast. And so instead of doing my tofu barbecue or my jerk tofu for black beans and rice, we went with breakfast. Now, the quinoa salad, at my house, we don't eat it for breakfast, but I kind of wanted to do breakfast and lunch. What I normally do for quinoa salad is I'll make it for supper and eat it the next day for lunch. And it's a really easy thing to take. if you're going out and you need to pack a lunch. That's easy. I've never liked sandwiches, and I'm hard pressed to eat a sandwich, except for maybe a vegetarian muffaletta because I love olives. But, so I wanted to show the quinoa, and so you're tied to that, right? Nina, are you interested in coming up for the quinoa salad? It's just like throwing things together. It's all done. Do you want to? Okay. If you just go wash your hands, and if someone can get her a apron, and we got some gloves up here. Thank you, Nina. And then, in the meanwhile, let me stir this. Now, so raise your hand if you aren't embarrassed. If you've never cooked tofu before, or you've never eaten tofu before. Yeah, see, this is exciting. We're gonna try tofu tonight for the first time. Now, hopefully, you'll like it. But I like this one a lot. And I think Sean, Sean grew up eating everything in the world, so he'll eat anything. And then when we got married, we said about our kids, we're like, well, I'm vegetarian, he eats anything. So let's just compromise and say when we have these babies, I'm not gonna make them be vegetarian, but I don't want them to eat everything that you eat. And so let's compromise and say, the Seventh-day Adventist Church follows what's in the Bible about unclean and clean meat. And so I said, let's just make the rule and compromise and say they're going to eat meat, but only clean meat. So they would eat beef, chicken, turkey, fish, but they wouldn't eat like pork, shrimp, crab, stuff like that. So that was our compromise. And where was I going with that story? So he never had anything vegetarian, right? But what? No. He's had a green salad, probably at McDonald's. I'm so bad. Yeah, so our eating habits were very different. And so what I'm trying to say is, did you have tofu before you met me? Never in his life. And I'm not going to say he's a tofu lover, but he loves tofu barbecue. And yeah, this is not his favorite tofu recipe, and it's not my favorite tofu recipe, but it's very good. Mine is still not browning to my satisfaction, so it just needs to cook longer. So I'm ready for Nina whenever she's ready. And this is like going to be a 2-minute deal, Nina. It's no big deal. So what are we going to do? Your stuff is over here, so I think I'm going to move this. And you're going to follow this recipe briefly, kind of just throw stuff together. Because what we did was we kind of like tried to do some crazy math and make a big batch back there. And this is just kind of like for the demo, right? So this is kind of what you're making. So you got the quinoa, and you're just going to throw everything in here. Now this recipe, the kale is for me. So I think your stuff is all here. So what was I going to say? This recipe came from Veganomicon. Now listen, I was trying to be inspired. Anthony came last week and was talking to Whole Food, and I know we were advertising this as Whole Foods. I'm not a plant-based oil-free person, so I'm trying to get there, right? Everyone's in a different spot. What I'm trying to say about this recipe is I modified it. I gave you the source. What they did is they used red wine vinegar and oil. They used grapeseed oil, I think, and I wanted to eliminate both of those two ingredients. So I threw in lime juice, and because I took out the oil, so I replaced the red wine vinegar with lime juice, and I replaced the grapeseed oil with avocado. It's not going to give so it might be a little dry, and I think the big batch we made, I tasted it, and it was a little on the dry side. I think it needs a little bit more lime. But you can follow, everyone's at a different place, what you want to eat and what you don't want to eat. So if you want to jot down the real recipe, you need a spoon. I'm sorry, Miss Nina needs a spoon to stir her salad together, like a big stirring spoon for the salad. Not ginormous, just kind of big. And then you can just follow, so all this stuff down the line and just add it all together. Yes, that was the right thing to do. Exactly. Miss Nina,
This is distracting. It smells so good.
she just wants to eat my tofu. I met Miss Nina here at the class recently, and tell me you're vegan?
I'm a plant-based vegan chef.
Plant-based vegan chef.
This is what I do for a living.
So she
And
does
I love
this.
seeing what you're all
And
doing
she
here.
doesn't have a microphone, so I'm just repeating. I'm echoing what she's saying. She is a vegan chef, and this is what she does for a living. So she's way better at this than me because I never went to culinary school. I went to math school. So, if you need equations solved, let me know. But in the meanwhile, we'll try to do some tofu. Yes. Do you want my mic? How about the yellow one? The yellow one, that'll be good. I'll try not to get too close so we don't have feedback.
The only comment I want to make is all of the ingredients are assembled here in front of me, and you would think that you could just toss them in any order, and for the most part, you can. But two of these items are very, very soft and kind of smushy. One is the canned black beans, and the other is the avocado. So I'm going to leave those to the end to minimize how much stirring and folding, because it'll all start to break down. And part of the beauty is getting a nice little chunk of avocado on your spoon, and having whole black beans, not having mush, because otherwise the tendency would be that this could all turn into mush, and it doesn't have to. It's just a matter of leaving those two ingredients to the last and gently folding them in, kind of like they're a garnish on your plate.
Wait, I missed that. Which two ingredients? I was chatting with Anthony.
Avocado,
Oh, yeah.
which could tend
Yeah.
to just break down, and then the canned black beans in particular.
Those are not canned, but yes,
Oh,
I made
well,
those.
okay.
Those are
Black beans.
fresh.
So they might, in that case, they might hold their shape better, actually. There's a good chance.
Well, I don't know how I cooked them. I did an Instant Pot, and I don't know if they're cooked at the right level that you want them cooked. But yeah, the avocado would always, for sure, I agree, add it last. Did you get you got a stirring spoon?
I did.
Okay.
I just need to have 5 hands here.
And then there's your lime juice.
Yeah.
And did you need spice? You need salt or something, right?
I would love
Salt.
some spice.
I have more spices in the kitchen if there's something else you want to add to it, like cumin or something. What do you want to add? You can add all this, because you know what we're going to do? We're going to in the end, we're going to dump this into the big bowl that we made, so it's just going to be one happy family of a salad.
So Sandy, you had Anthony add the spices and everything already to his?
He added the spices, and he's about to add the kale. The kale needs to cook, but
Okay.
I'm sorry. I probably should have let you use this one, Anthony, but I'm sorry if that was burning. That looks so good, Nina. Oh, so this recipe is, vegan. I talked about that one, right? So I just swapped out two things. The avocado was an appropriate swap out for the oil, not because I'm an expert at this, but because when I Googled it, that's what it said. It was inappropriate because it's fatty. So it might be a little on the drier side because you're missing the oil. So to do the sub, I was trying to make the avocado really small when I did it at home, like really small so that it's not big chunks, so that, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not the expert. It's gorgeous. It looks good. And I got to thank my boy Christian because he doesn't like to help at home. Today I was like, Christian, I really need your help. And he was chopping for me, and it was perfect. Anthony's got some kale. You know what? We need more kale in that because it really shrinks. I'm sorry. We're just,
okay.
When it cooks. And if you want to add water to that because the kale could use some water and then it won't stick so bad. What's the question? Oh, you want to, wait, did you get everything? You want to add some cumin or something? What do you want to add? So Heidi cumin or something, and what did we put on the list? We didn't have anything except salt? Okay, so if we dump this in with a big salad, you're not going to get the cumin, but.
I just want to say, this is the very definition of when we talk about eat the rainbow. Like all of these gorgeous colors in here, and I'll come over to the camera. but really, you've got all of the beautiful colors. And I feel like instead of us worrying so much about which vitamins we're getting and what we're getting for nutrition, if we eat all around the rainbow, then we have a really good chance of getting everything we need.
Did you hear what she said? Okay, she was saying eating the rainbow, you want to get all the colors, and it makes, because like the reds have certain things. What do the reds have? Do you know? I can't remember.
Oh, I mean, A, C, and E.
A, C, and E is the reds, right? The greens, the yellows, the oranges, the purples, they all have like their similarities in what they have. So if you eat the rainbow, like a long time ago, I got her trying to be crazy. I tried to go a raw diet, and it was all about the rainbow, and I was learning about that when I was trying to address a health issue that I was dealing with, just fibromyalgia and pain and stuff. So I'm not the expert, like I said, so if you want to talk about the rainbow, you could probably talk to Nina afterwards, because she does this. This is her life. Thank you, Christian. That's my sweet boy that helped me chop everything earlier.
One of the fun tips that I love to share is that your spices, you don't really have to worry about how fresh or how old they are, because you can dry toast them. And what that means is just putting them in a pan over some gentle heat, no oil. And that's not the time to take a phone call or answer the doorbell. You just need to stand there and kind of stir them around, because the heat will wake them up. And in fact, I could tell you that I've done this with spices that are 10 years old, and they smell fresher. They get just so woken up. They smell fresher than the first day that you bring them home from the store. So anytime that you want to cook with something that has a nice, vibrant flavor, the more you can kind of wake up those spices before you use them. It's a great practice to have, and you'll be amazed. And so you don't really need to toss spices that are old. I think that's just a ploy to get you to spend more money. But I found that as long as you reheat them and you toast them, that they just come right back to life.
That's a great tip. Thank you for sharing that one. Hey, I want to share with the tofu, you know, when you make scrambled eggs, which is what this is trying to replicate sort of for people who are taking baby steps and getting rid of scrambled eggs, replacing it with this. Look, the turmeric, it says on the recipe is optional. Don't make it optional. Turmeric's good for you, and it makes it turn yellow. And, you know, some people might not know the difference. No, if they're kids, they might not know the difference. But, yeah, so the yellow comes from the turmeric, and it just makes it more look just like what you're trying to replace is the scrambled egg.
It's anti-inflammatory.
Anti-inflammatory. Turmeric is anti-inflammatory, which we want to be all about. So
And
turmeric.
anti-cancer, too.
Anti-cancer. We're on it. Okay, I just added my spices. I'm going to add a bunch of kale. The kale is going to shrink when you cook it, so you can add a bunch and not worry about it. It'll get smaller. And then I think if your salad is done, you can go give that to the ladies in the kitchen, and we'll just, you know what, you can, if you want to add more spice to the big salad, that would be all good with me.
Can we
And
see
then,
it first before she...
yeah, show it to the camera. And then what we're going to do is if Heidi and Sarah want to come run the blenders, we're going to make some smoothies. If you want to bring the fruit and the orange juice and all that jazz.
What spices did you add?
Oh, well, so
It's
she
looking
probably
a lot
added,
better.
Nina, what did you add besides cumin?
Turmeric, cumin, paprika, onion, garlic, chili.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything that was there that you brought me.
Pretty
Those
much.
are all good choices.
So everything that's in the scramble, when you see the scramble tofu recipe, it's like kind of the same stuff, but paprika is not on that list, so she added paprika. Yeah. If you want to, maybe take 2 trips. If you want to take 2 trips to come gather your spices, and then you can just spice up the whole big bowl if you want to. And then we'll serve that. So, yes, sir. Mark?
So there's even a type of salt that gives it a little bit of an eggy flavor. It's got that little sulfur smell. For those people who really like eggs a lot. I think it's a little bit off-putting myself, but it's an option. It's kind of fun.
Can you take this back? When you just, if you want to take 2 trips. Yes, that's heavy. Take that. Good. Perfect. Thank you, Mark, for that tip. And then we're going to just switch to the last thing. The last recipe is the smoothie, which, like I said, I think I started in 1999. And over those years, I modified it and changed it and tried different things. The current recipe is where I'm at right today. So I had to come up with a name. So Sandi likes alliteration. So I was like, smoothie, I need an S. So at first I said, well, let's call it Sandi Smoothie. And I'm like, well, they're not going to remember who Sandi is. So let's go with Smarty, and here's why. Because I was in grad school when I started it, and I learned in grad school that you want omega-369 because your corpus callosum separates your left and right brain hemispheres. And the corpus callosum, if it's very well lubricated, it's going to let your 2 hemispheres talk and communicate. So I was doing, I started out using flaxseed oil, and that was my omegas. And then, you know, it's kind of wicked expensive for a grad student, but I kept doing it anyway. And eventually I got to the point where I was like, I need to stop. So I quit, and I shouldn't have. Never quit. Don't, spend the money on that instead of gas for your car and start riding your bike, whatever it takes. Keep doing the omegas. It's good stuff for you, right? So what I'm doing now is just because it's a little cheaper. The hemp seed oil is replacing my flaxseed oil at the moment. I don't like the way it tastes in my smoothie. If you think there's something a little funky in my smoothie, it's probably the hemp seed oil. But if you spend a little bit more money on the flaxseed oil, but I think from what I read, this one's better. It's going to be better for you. They both are giving you omegas. But here's something else. If you have children and they have learning disabilities, the reason I'm really big into it right now is because I found Diane Kraft last year for dyslexia and learning disabilities, and she was all promoting, she had different things, a lot of things going on for helping address these issues. But one of her big things was lubricate your brain and get those omegas, get the vitamin B complex, and the, what's the other big one? Some other things, whatever. But so I'm using this because she was saying fish oil, and I was like, I don't want to do fish oil. So either hemp seed oil or flaxseed oil is going to give you your omegas, and that's I do a mixture at home. And so I called it Smarty Smoothie because it helps overcome dyslexia, learning disabilities, ADHD, all kinds of stuff if you look at Diane Kraft's website. And she's a certified nutritionist as well as special ed and other things. So I just think omegas are very important for your brain. And so that's why I call it Smarty Smoothie. Yes, sir.
I have a question. Can you use flaxseed as a substitute?
So I tried. That's one of my many variations. I switched because I think it was cheaper. Here's what happened. Huh?
Exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's cheaper. Well, here's the thing. I think the quantity and how you absorb the omegas are different for the oil versus the seed. But I did try grinding up the flaxseed. I bought a grinder to try it. What happened to me personally is I had terrible pains in my stomach, and we were doing like ultras. I mean, I was young. I was like, when I switched to that, I was probably 25 or something. And I went to the doctor, and they did ultrasounds. They're like, we don't see anything. And did you change anything in your diet? I was like, no. And finally, I was like, oh, yeah. I switched from flaxseed oil to ground flaxseed. And so I realized, and it's true, I said, I'm going to stop flaxseed. And if I ever do flaxseed, it's this terrible pain in my side. So I don't know how it would compare with the concentration and the absorption and all that. If you know anything, or Nina, or someone else who's certified nutritionist. Are you the certified nutritionist? You are a nurse. What were you? You taught it. Do you know the answer to that, the difference between flaxseed and flaxseed oil? Don't know for sure. We would have to do research on that one. But some people, I heard, when I had that problem, I learned that many people, not many, some people have an issue with flaxseed and it causes them pain, so I have to avoid it. Okay, Miss Michelle?
That was kind of my question. we like to put chia in the smoothies that we make, and if you soak them and when you use it as a thickener, will that happen? Will that give you enough of the omegas?
Well,
If-
so I use chia seeds in this recipe. So it's chia and it's this. And I think, from what I understand, the seeds are excellent for you, but I think the oil gives you more, the quantity, the high quantity that you need to lubricate your corpus callosum and all that is just, I think it really requires the oil. I'm not the specialist. You have to do your own research. I can't answer that. Do what?
The oil goes rancid faster.
Okay. Jeremiah says the oil goes rancid faster, but I use it like every day, so it never goes rancid on me. Yeah, and I keep it in the fridge, and it disappears quickly because I make a smoothie every day. So when you make a smoothie every day, like Kate, when she was here doing her vegan chef, and she made you those vegan cheesecakes that were amazing, and if you weren't here and you missed that, she's at the farmer's market, and she sells her cheesecakes. She's phenomenal. But she was telling you need a blender. Heidi told you even before Kate. You cooked before Kate. She was cooking with cashews, and so the cashew cheese sauce. So everyone that you saw up here was like, you need a blender. So Jeremiah says it's a showdown, Vitamix versus Blendtec.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Did you want to say something?
No, just about where Anthony is on his dish here, and what do you think? And
Yeah, I
it might
think
be
we're
good.
about the same place. And so what we're going to do, Anthony, I was just ready to say I'm going to turn it all the way to warm and just keep mine warm because my kale shrank and it looks edible. It looks good. So if Anthony wants to take a seat and just leave that on warm, I'm good with that. And then at some point, Sarah, did you want to run your blender? Because at some point I'm going to need runners to get all the hot food to the hot scramble. Okay, so then, Anthony, do you want to just stay up here and do the blender then?
Sure.
Okay, if that's okay. But I guess the other thing is, yeah, so Jeremiah is our plug expert. We need to unplug these and move them so that we can plug in 3 blenders. Is that what we got to do?
everything's plugged in.
Yeah, but are we going to blow and
As long
lose
as they're
power?
Well, I think you can. Yeah, I think we're good.
3
I
blenders
take
and
full responsibility.
And I'm going to use that orange masking tape on your mouth if something blows up. All right, I'm just going to get this out of the way, and it's on warm. And then, so we can all take a bag of spinach. We can all take the blueberries and a bag of this. And you know what? Do you mind trading sides? Because this is mine, and I'm more familiar with this one.
I use a Vitamix every day. I do the
Good,
same
so
as you.
you can use
Smoothie every
Sarah's.
morning.
Now here's the curious thing. These are both Vitamix, and look at the bases. They're different because hers is really narrow and hers is really wide. So these are 2 Vitamix, and then mine's the Blendtec, and my Blendtec has, we washed that. I'm just getting rid of the excess water. So my Blendtec is also a wider base. All right. So you guys, the recipe is right here, and we're just going to probably make 2 rounds and then fill up our pitchers. So the chia seeds we're going to have to share, sorry. Now the chia seeds for me, seeds are so good for you. It's got omegas, it's got protein, it's got whatever, goodness. Fiber, 1, 2, 3. I tend to do 3 or 4. This is just all healthy yumminess. And then, I'm going to do a banana. And we're going to do 2 rounds of this to get smoothie for enough people here. So the blender's not going to be able to double it. But I'm going to tell you that I make this every day for a family of 4. And I will tell you, I think, Sean, is my cup like 32 ounces that I drink? Is it? How much? Is it 16? 20, 24. I drink 24 ounces. I give the kids probably 8 to 10 ounces. And then Sean just takes a small one. And this recipe probably makes 6 cups. So what I'm going to tell you, if you're making it for 1, you can cut it all in half, except please use a whole banana. Because technically I could put 2 bananas in here, but I don't. The banana really gives creaminess, not to mention it's really good for you. So, yeah, did we open this yet? We did. Don't make them without a banana. Yeah,
And if you can do it And if you can freeze it too, a frozen banana is really good. I put probably 2 or 3 a day in mine. Chop them up,
So with the
frozen.
Sorry. And with a good blender, it's going to have markers. So I just pour it to the 2-cup, which, you know, so you don't have to measure it. It's just an eyeball thing, like 2 cups.
Exactly, 2 cups.
Okay, if anyone wants that. Does your blenders have graduated marks, so I think we're all good. Thank you, Jeremiah. All right. So I got, in my head at home, sometimes I'm a little groggy, and in my head it's 5 things. So sometimes I'm like, did I get it all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I got, you know, the banana, the chia, and the orange juice. So I'm looking for, I want this.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah, we need to open this. Now listen, I'm sorry, I got this is still not cheap, but it's a little cheaper than the flaxseed oil. If you don't like the flavor, it's probably the hemp seed oil. Stand by.
So, Sandy, you keep using the word cheap. Think about the Dr. Bill.
Please, Sean, thank you for the brilliant idea. Yeah, not idea, thought. Yes. But sometimes, like when you're a grad student and you're like surviving, yes, think forward to the money saved on the Dr. Bills. But really, I mean, there's no way to measure the financial burden of flaxseed, hemp seed oil when you got kids with dyslexia that you want to connect the brain, right? So it's worth every penny. Yes, Miss Nina.
You know, many people think that they'll do the right thing taking a supplement.
I'm just gonna eyeball.
Yeah.
Real quick. I'm just gonna eyeball this because I don't have a measuring thing. But I think I would normally do like 1 to 2 tablespoons. Okay. Go ahead, Miss Nina.
Many times we don't think about our food and we think about supplementing instead. But if you were to compare the cost of the oil in that bottle compared to getting an encapsulated oil in a supplement, that bottle instead in the kitchen aisle is going to be a lot cheaper than buying the capsule in the health and beauty aisle.
Oh, so like a supplement pill.
Right,
Yeah.
and many of us would go, oh, we need omegas, and we'd go to the supplement aisle.
Oh.
But in fact,
I've never done that for,
yeah, if you look at what is there, like an eyedropper full of oil in each little capsule, and I bet if we were to price that out compared to the bottle of oil, we'd find that the bottle of oil is a wild bargain.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that thought. You guys have a lot of good ideas. Thank you for your contributions. I had to change out, you know what, I was worried. I touched all that red onion. Ooh, I didn't want my smoothie to taste like red onion, so I changed out my gloves, because that would be just ugly. And the gloves are hard to slide on now. Anyway, so if you want to
I
run...
guess that's it, right?
Yeah, if you got it all, go ahead and run it. And then when you're done running it, she's got 2 down there. If you can pass him your pitcher, and then we'll fill it up and do another run. Teresa, what's our head count? I'm wondering how much smoothie to make. 34? Right there. That says 33, Jeremiah.
You don't count.
All right, I guess it depends if we're counting Weston or not. He's not quite one, so.
The question was, are we going to bring the smoothies back?
We're gonna, yeah, so we're gonna give you the pitchers and you're gonna pour it in the cups.
Okay.
Did you find some reasonable cups, I hope?
Amazing cups.
You have amazing cups. Because Sandy did a lousy job finding cups. I'm going to tell you that right now. All right, you guys feel free to go. I'm just going to eyeball this. Am I making a green smoothie? I'm making a green smoothie because it has all that spinach. The reason it's not green is because of the blueberries. When I don't have blueberries at home, we still make it, but the little girl wants a pink smoothie. So Sean wants a pink smoothie. They don't want to see a green smoothie, so you have to have blueberries to get rid of the green. And so sometimes, because a blender might be dying, I might just do the blueberries first and then add just, because mine, so sometimes you have to jiggle it. So guys, what do you think? Vitamix, Blendtec, who's the winner? I don't know. They're all good.
Got a tamper.
You could probably use her plunger because we didn't bring this one, but we forgot that one. If you can borrow hers. What's that? Oh, sure. Whatever you do is fine. Yeah, you can start pouring. Raise your hand if you make smoothie on a regular basis. Raise your hand if you've never made a smoothie in your life at home. Well, good. You guys all are smoothie professionals, except for maybe one or two.
Should I pour it out?
I like it to get really smooth.
You want to get smoother than that?
Just a little bit more.
Add some more juice.
I think it's okay. Just let it run a little bit longer. Not just a little bit. It's probably fine, but I like it.
So, Sandy, you're using spinach along with that, right? Talk about the, sometimes you use kale. Yeah.
Spinach, my go-to is frozen spinach. And when I don't have any spinach, my go-to is kale. I'm going to tell you, my kids and my husband, they're not super happy with my smoothie when it has kale. It just changes the flavor, and the spinach, I feel like you can't taste the spinach. I don't know. I mean, I put gobs of spinach in because there's 4 people drinking it when I make it at home. Miss Nina has a comment. Is there a yellow mic somewhere, Mr. Christian? But yeah, I try to always have fresh spinach, but that's kind of my line of, yes, that I follow.
Given everything you just said, try using
do a second
baby
one.
kale.
Baby kale.
It has much less flavor than, the fully grown kale. And it might make a great swap, and they might never even know.
That's a good idea. Thank you for that tip. So for me, right now, I know I have a good strong blender, but still, it seems to be dying sometimes. So I don't add all my frozen fruit at once. I'm just doing one or the other. Right now, it's blueberries. And then let it go for a minute, and then I'll add my frozen fruit to get it all. Because the frozen fruit, am I on? Can you hear me? So the frozen fruit tends to be really rough. And the reason I bought BlendTech, I had Vitamix, and the reason I switched to BlendTech was because they had a 10-year warranty. And I said, oh, great. Well, it wasn't as great as I thought, because basically you have to mail back the base. You keep the pitcher, you mail back the base when it dies, and you're without a base for 3 weeks, just wanting your smoothie for 3 weeks, and then they give you a replacement. So it's really just a matter of sending it back and getting another one for the course of 10 years, is what it turns out to be. What? And the replacement, yeah, unless it dies in the first year, which I hope it wouldn't. Okay. Yeah. You think so? Okay. Okay. How many have you guys done? Is this your second or third? That's your third, and your second? Okay. That sounds good. Thank you, Jeremiah. Oh, we're going a little over, but not too much. So what I'm going to suggest is, can people go through line? Are we ready to have a little prayer? We can stop the blender. Sarah, is everything ready at the table? And then we can have people get their smoothie, and we can do that. So let me ask, is there? Yeah.
Your blender can handle it, but some of the smaller ones can't. All your fruit, if you freeze that before, it'll keep your smoothie thicker, and also you won't generate as much heat in your grinding to have a warm smoothie when you're done.
You're saying instead of I missed what you said.
Some people put ice in because they want to keep it cold.
Oh.
Well, if you freeze all your fruit beforehand, if your blender can handle it, that'll keep the cold. It'll make it thicker.
Oh, right.
And you won't generate as much heat into the product from all that mixing.
Right. And I never use ice because everything I use is frozen. And that's a good point, though. I don't freeze my bananas because I like the creaminess of the fresh banana. But you can also freeze your banana, too. But let's take a pause really quick if Pastor Banks will have prayer, and we can finish our smoothie and go through line, and then we can get people going. So question here, and then Pastor Banks.
That's not a question. It's like the chef, this young lady in front of me with the thing. When we do things like that, we always put the soft things first, and then we, like Dan was saying, we start to add the fruit because that's going to take a lot of pumping.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we put the soft, the liquid, and then we stick the fruit in and stops to stop. Oh, it's time to take it out because.
And I started this in grad school when I was poor, right? I did not have a BlendTech, a Vitamix. I had a $40 blender, and I used it every day, and it lasted a year. And then I buy another $40 blender. If you don't want to invest in an expensive blender like Vitamix or BlendTech, you can get it El Cheapo. But if you do it every day for a smoothie, it'll last a year. That's what I found. So let's go.
Costco has them for $3.99, and there's 7 years. When you buy 7 years by $3.99,
it's worth it.
You're better off buying that because you will blow up.
It also makes you
over-the-counter
happier.
blender.
It makes the chef happier. Thank you for the comment. So Pastor Banks will lead us in a prayer, and you guys can go to the line while we finish up making our smoothies.
Okay, let's bow our heads. Dear Lord, we thank you for all your blessings. You could have created us like cattle where we just chow down hay and water every day, but no, you gave all these varieties of tastes and flavors and textures and adventures to eat each day and find so many blessings there as we partake of that which will nourish our bodies. Thank you for this presentation, for this food we're about to eat, and just bless our time together. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Smoothie, and Anthony, if it's okay with you, I'm going to let Anthony talk first when we're done with our smoothie, because he has an amazing story to share. He has followers on his website with what he does with his lifestyle change, and when he's done, then I'll share some information for a healthy lifestyle. And so if the people online can just hang, he's got a great story to share. And if you are here live, feel free to get your plates full. The applesauce and peanut butter are a suggested topping for waffles to make it healthier than maple syrup. But I know there's kids here, we got syrup too. But if you want to be brave and try something new, if you've never tried applesauce and peanut butter, it's out there. If you want maple syrup, that's out there too. And so there's, topping suggested for the scramble was like salsa, hot sauce. It's all out there. So go fill up while we finish the smoothie and stay online. We'll be right with you. Oh, yeah. Let us know. Is the Blend Tech winning or is the Vitamix winning? Yeah, question.
Did I miss that?
The what?
The lecithin? You didn't add
Did that one? Listen, I have that in there because of my dyslexia program I'm following. I deleted it, and somehow it didn't get deleted. But I deleted it because what do you all know about lecithin? When I looked it up, there could be people saying, it's not good for you. I use it every day. I use lecithin every day. It's a fat that helps with the dyslexia, communicating left and right hemispheres. So it's not here today because when I Googled it, do you guys have positive or negative feedback? Anyone?
It's also an emulsifier.
It's an emulsifier, but I use it. It's not in my original recipe. I started using it in the past year for when I did my dyslexia research for communication left and right brain.
Does it help?
So there's a lot of things that, yes, Diane Kraft works for dyslexia. It's amazing. And I'm a mathematician. I thought, when I retire, let me teach kids math. And now I'm like, I want to teach kids who have dyslexia. I mean, I love Diane Kraft. She's amazing. She's a special ed teacher, and she does a certified nutrition. So she kind of has a health nutrition aspect. It's not just omegas. It's all the fats, all the B vitamin complex. There's trace minerals she has you take. And there's the pear microdosing, the grapefruit seed extract for the antifungal. She has you do the gut health, which is the probiotics. I mean, it's a whole regime because she's a certified nutrition, and she's like, this is what you need to clear up your gut health, and your brain needs the lubricants. So that's what the lecithin is about. So that's up to you. It's for your brain connections. What was that?
Why didn't you add it
Today, because I was like, it was new for me, and I was like, well, I'm trying to learn about these people that come and tell me how to be healthier and like be oil-free. I was like, oh no, what's Anthony gonna think about soy lecithin? So I Google it, and I'm like, what's it say, right? So I don't know. I just didn't add it in case someone was opposed to it and said it's not really good for you, but it's good for your brain connections. It's a fat. Dan.
Also with lecithin and soy, that is one of the items with people that have autoimmune that they can be allergic to.
Yeah, soy. But you can do the sunflower.
Yeah, and lecithin, if they're allergic just to the protein, then the lecithin won't bother them.
Okay.
The soy, beans, or protein will, but the actual lecithin emulsifier doesn't usually affect them the way the protein does.
But there are people who don't want soy lecithin because of the soy allergy, but there's sunflower lecithin. But it's basically a fat to help make the... we don't have a problem with soy. I do tofu all the time. So I use soy lecithin. You can get it granules, dry, and that's easy. You can get it liquid, and it's a little messy. Either one is fine. I've used them both. Yeah. It's for your brain. I'm going to make this blender go. If this is the first time you like tofu, raise your hand if you like it. This is your first time liking tofu. Yes! Mission accomplished, right? So tofu is high protein. It's really good for you. You know, some people will say it's not, but it is. They're wrong. Just make sure you get organic, okay? I get organic. And Mr. Anthony, whenever he's ready, is going to come share his kind of story, why he is doing his lifestyle that he's doing now. And then when he's done, I'll share. So if this is your first smoothie, do you like it? If you like your smoothie better than my smoothie, please, by all means, continue your smoothie. This is just to get you on a smoothie if you're not already on a smoothie. It's the only thing I usually eat for breakfast, a big smoothie. That's all I eat. Sometimes I supplement it with something else, but usually that's all I do, smoothie. My kids, Anthony, we're ready for you whenever you are. My kids started drinking smoothie when they were 6 months old, and they've been doing it every day. I'm just going to tell you, one time when one of them was like 4 or 5 years old, they did some blood work, and they're like, man, it looks beautiful. There was something going on, so they had to do blood work. They were like, this is amazing. I was like, it's the spinach, you know, whatever, I don't know. So, Mr. Anthony, are you ready? Okay, and you have a microphone, right? Okay, so I'm going to let Anthony speak, and thank you very much.
So is my mic on? Okay, my mic is on. You know, if anybody had told me about 10 or so years ago that I'd be standing in front of people telling them to eat more fruits and vegetables, I would have thought maybe I had turned into one myself. But going back a decade, I ate whatever I wanted to. I was driven by food cravings, driven by taste. You know, I want to get a cheeseburger. I feel like a taco from Taco Bell. Oh, there's a new place that opened up down the street. I'm going to go there and I'm going to eat. I just was driven by whatever I felt like. And I was 50 pounds overweight, and, you know, I would get sick a lot. Stomach aches, go out to eat. Half hour later, your stomach is churning. I felt like this was just the way it is. Flu, fevers, brain fog, just the typical stuff. Now I know, looking back, the standard American diet gets you the standard American diseases. And so that's just what I just never thought about food and health until a friend came to see me. I hadn't seen him in a couple of years, and I know that he had some health issues, but he got through them because he changed his food. Now, he was on a paleo diet, which is not this. It's more heavy on meat, cheese, and but I started to follow it. And if I could say a couple of things about that kind of diet was that it got me off of the fast food. I was no longer getting my dinner through a fast food window. I wasn't bringing junk food into the house. When I did buy meat, I tried to get like organic meat. I was making better choices, but the most important thing was I was thinking about my food. Finally, I thought about what was going in. And so I started to feel good, started to lose some weight, and I tried to figure out what's going on here. Talking about making smoothies, I bought a Nutribullet, which I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It's a very small portable blender, and it was very easy to put stuff in there and drink. So I wasn't much for eating vegetables, but I found this was a great way to get them in. I can mix some fruit, just like we did here. And so I found myself going to the grocery store now, going to the produce aisle, which I never went to. I'm buying fruits, I'm buying vegetables, I'm throwing them in a drink, it's tasting good. So I started digging into what was going on here. And I started learning about whole food, plant-based diets. And what struck me the most was I saw these doctors like Dr. John McDougall and Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, and their patients got better. They got results. They had patients that had heart disease, type 2 diabetes, cancer, autoimmune, and they reversed. Their patients actually got through those diseases. I had never heard of that before, because where I came from, friends and family, they go to the doctor and they get put on pills, and they get all these procedures, and it's like a revolving door. They never got better, just more and more pills, and they often died from those very same diseases. So that was what I had seen. So now I'm seeing this plant-based world where these people are telling their stories, and I feature them all the time on my own site, and I'll tell you about that. But I was just amazed by it, and so I wanted to be a part of that. So I shifted my diet from this paleo diet. I got rid of the meat, got rid of the cheese. I had already gotten rid of the fast food, and I started eating plant foods. And the way that I really, I guess, boil it down is I eat garden foods. If you can grow it in a garden, if you can grow on a tree, that's what I started to eat. And I noticed that my weight came off. I no longer went out to eat or had food that made my stomach churn. Hardly ever got sick anymore. Clarity, energy. I was feeling good about myself. Ultimately, I lost 50 pounds, and I kind of saw things differently after all of that. I saw so many friends and family just eating themselves to an early grave. And it was very hard to see. I don't know very, very many people that die from drug overdoses or from alcohol addiction. Not saying that it's not out there, but personally, I don't know very many people. But I can tell you a lot of people that have died from eating the wrong foods for decades. It's taken their lives, whether it's heart disease, cancer, and it doesn't have to be like that. And so I decided to write a book. And I'd always wanted to write, but this gave me something that I could really get into. So I wrote a book, and I decided to start a Facebook page, which now has over 11,000 people who follow. And I share stories of other people who reversed their disease just by changing their food, changes their lives. I share like recipes, great information, and it's really, really resonating. People find it really helpful. It's called thevitalblend.com. That goes right to my Facebook page. That's the name of my book, too. And people enjoy it, whether they've already reversed their disease, you still need to keep it going. It's not like you reach a goal, you reach your actual weight that you want to get to, or maybe you reverse your heart disease and then it's over. No, you have to keep doing that, because if you go back to the same diet that got you into that mess, it's all going to come right back again. And I've seen people actually do that before, because it's not the easiest thing to stay on track in this kind of world. As there's one plant-based doctor, Dr. Alan Goldhammer, who put it perfectly when he said that we live in a world that's designed to make us fat, sick, and miserable. I mean, when you turn on your television set, the commercials, your friends and family, they will tell you, yeah, let's go get a hamburger, let's go get these foods, more cheese. This stuff is coming at you from all angles. It's up to you to decide, no, this is what's best for my own body, and nobody else is looking out for you as much as you are. And I think once people understand the kind of damage that these foods do in terms of clogging your arteries and putting on all this excess weight year after year, when you finally understand that this food is hurting you, it takes away your desire to eat these foods. And that's one of the things that I learned. And I got certified in nutrition not too long ago, and I became a health coach where I help people one-on-one to lose weight, which also helps with their cholesterol and their blood pressure, and a lot of other things benefit when you can get your weight down to where it should be. And so that's what I love doing. I just love helping other people, because everybody's at a different stage. Everybody is coming at this differently. And so that's what I try to do, is meet with people to see where I can help them. And so when I saw this going on, I saw the ad in the paper, and I saw forks over knives, and I'd never seen anything like that around here before, to be honest with you. So I decided I want to come down and be a part of this. Anytime I put a story on my Facebook page about the Adventists and what they do and how they eat, people always love it. People always love to see a good example of a community because, as you probably know, the blue zones are the healthiest areas in all of the world, which are these pockets all over the world where people live the longest, healthiest lives. And there's not a lot of them. I think they're going away little by little. There's 5 of them. But, you know, with the Western culture and the way that the standard American diet, it's not just here. This kind of diet and this kind of way of eating has gone overseas. It's all over the world. There's been places in Africa that never used to have heart disease, didn't have diseases with your bowels and all this stuff. It's just hard for me to wrap my head around. Like, these diseases did not exist at all for decades. What happened? The standard American diseases came in, the standard American diet was along with it. And so it's tough to stay with this diet. But the Adventists, I'm very happy to see that they are very, very focused on how to take care of your own body. Because I think when you can take care of yourself, you can be of better service to, you know, others, and to your family, and to your friends. So I just wanted to share that with you. I want to thank you for having me, and I look forward to telling a lot of people about what you're doing here.
My motto,
Thank you.
are we on? Is it on? Yes. My motto is, over my experience, you know, somewhat similar to yours, but I tell people, health is something to do for yourself in the context of hopefully a little science. This is not rocket science. Science. It's worth hanging into, because when you hang in there, you will have this experience like you cannot believe, and you get excited, and you know what? You become a little health advocate yourself, and you just want to help people. But don't be surprised when a lot of people don't want to help themselves. You can lead the horse to water, you can't make him drink, and there's more that don't want to. But there are people out there, and when you do help them and you see the results, there's no high better than that you've helped somebody.
Yeah, well, thank you for actually saying that.
Anthony, I just wanted to ask you, how long did it take you to change your habits so that you no longer ate incorrect things? You know, how long did it take you to go through that process?
It's a tough question. I really wish I had documented it more. I was just so happy that things were changing. I don't really know. I don't have a hard answer for that. But one thing I do know is that when you start changing to real food, your taste buds adapt. I don't know if you've ever gone from like a skim milk to a high-fat milk. You can definitely taste, or you go the other way. Skim milk will taste just like you're drinking water. And you're like, I can't do this. But then you get used to it. And because your body is great at making adaptations. The body can do a lot of things that we don't give it credit for. And so this is why people, what I see when I work with people, this is why it's hard. People go up and down on weight. It's called yo-yo dieting. They lose a bunch of weight, and then they get it back. Or they reach a point where they stop. And a lot of this has to do with getting away from the garden foods. Like, they're eating maybe some fruits and vegetables, but once you start getting away from that into changing the food, taking a food, turning into a flour or a syrup or oils, once you start going down that road, now we're getting into the food cravings, which can turn into an addiction. And so if you've got one foot in that door and one foot here, how do you really stay eating a whole food plant-based diet 100% or even close when you've got these things that are calling you, you know? So it would be like, you know, how many alcoholics get off the booze by cutting it down to like a drink a week? Like, you wouldn't recommend that. It's not something you see. But it's kind of like that with food. That if as long as you keep your foot in that door of bringing in these foods that are addictive and induce cravings. And it's going to be very, very hard. But once you get away, because I've talked to people, I actually just interviewed somebody who is 70 years old. He's been whole food plant-based his entire life. So he has no idea what cheese tastes like. He has no idea what like McDonald's tastes like. And so he doesn't crave these foods. He was even married to someone who was a vegetarian who was bringing these foods in. It didn't faze him. But when she wanted to clean up her diet, she couldn't have those foods around because she knows what those foods taste like. It's really amazing. And there's other people who they had a really horrible life. They changed their food. They went to whole food plant-based. And they may have, like a husband or a wife that's not into it, and they're still bringing in the bacon and bringing in the cheese and all that. They have had to really come to an understanding, like, these foods are dangerous to my health. And if I go down this path, I could be on a binge, and I may go back down that road again. So there's like an educational part of this too, where you kind of have to really recognize, because it's not just a matter of saying, oh, these are foods that I just can't have, and I'm just going to use my willpower. Willpower will fail at some point. But when you know that something is not good for you, and you really understand it, and you don't want to bring back the pain that you used to have, and you don't want to feel like you used to have, that is something that you can get behind. And so you say, no, even if it's in the house, I'm going to put it like in a drawer, and I'm going to be done with it. So it's not easy. There are people who have told me it is not easy because of all that's around us, but it can be done.
It's not easy. It can take as little as 18 days. My journey was 18 days. I walked out of a wellness center. I stumbled into this. I went away to take a vacation to learn how to cook healthy. I was there for 18 days, and I walked out a vegan vegetarian, and I've been that way for 28 years. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that was a miracle. I mean, I just stumbled into it. And for 18 days, I mean, I walked out of here. It took me 6 months to realize that something had happened to me. All my customers, I'm a hairdresser and a barber, they're all looking at me, you're changed. I'm like, what are these people seeing me that I don't see in myself? And then finally I realized, I've been eating this way, been exercising this way, I'm not drinking, I'm not smoking pot, and that's a commercial about V8.
Yeah.
In the mirror looking at the thing, I literally smacked myself, and it's like, I had a miracle over here. And from that day forward, you only get out what you put in. If you don't put in, you'll get nothing. If you want to put, like you said, 2 feet in them doors, you'll never overcome. And it does take fasting a little bit, and we'll talk about that next week when my wife and I do this, and a whole lot of prayer sometimes, because food is an addiction.
Yeah.
It's a drug. And I think it's worse than alcohol and drugs. And you have to know how to just take that journey, and we will introduce that to people. Here's what we did, this is the way we did it, and it takes support. And I hope this continues on a regular basis somehow. You need support. You need somebody in your corner to get you through.
That's very important, and thanks. I was going to say that you should be up here, but I guess you will be coming up here soon enough. But thank you for saying that. Yeah.
So it sounds like you're hinting a little bit on the epigenetics part of this diet, where it actually changes your genetic makeup a little bit.
It changes the way that your genes are expressed, because whatever you eat, it kind of goes through your body and plays your genes like they're a piano. And so if you're eating foods that are maybe feeding the beast of your genes, people say, oh, I've got heart disease, is in my family. And they feel like they're a victim, and there's nothing that they can do. Well, I tell you what also runs in families? Very poor diets. People pass down what they eat, and if you feed the beast, you will get the beast, or there's a really good chance that you will. I never like telling people, well, you're going to get this and you're going to get that, and I see diet as a way of stacking the odds in your favor. If you want to eat a bunch of foods that are going to be harmful to your heart, to your gut, which is what we're seeing now, autoimmune is like off the charts now. When I was a kid, I never heard about gluten or anybody having a food issue with eating this or that. But over the last 20 or so years, that's all I'm hearing about is, autoimmune. Why is that? Well, because guts are getting wrecked by all kinds of things, GMOs and chemicals, and there's all kinds of things. And so this has given a whole new rise to a bunch of different diseases. But one thing I also want to say before I close up is about the whole blue zones, and it's not just what people are eating. It's not just about diet. It's about, like you said, having like-minded people that can help you. It's very easy for us all here to eat this kind of food because this is what we all want and that's all there is. But imagine if half of us were cooking hamburgers and hot dogs. The other half, it's going to be a little bit tougher maybe, And so it's not about the food. It's about having like-minded people. It's about getting exercise too. And staying active. There's many, many different aspects to it. And so, and that's one thing that I think a lot of people don't have, that the Adventists have. This is a community. This is a group, right? A lot of people, they're on their own. Like when I wanted to do this, I was on my own. I had to figure it out by myself. There was nobody else. And especially my friend that introduced me. Once I went away from the paleo diet, he was like, all right, well, you're on your own there, buddy, because I'm not giving up the meat and cheese. So I had to do that. I gave up eating that kind of stuff. It was tough. But I realized what it does to me. And I saw other people in my family and friends dying of heart disease and having all these other diseases. And like you said, food is an addiction, and it's as bad as these, people, if they're on drugs, they have, and something else about this is that food addiction is accepted. People accept it. Like I said, you can turn on your television, your friends and family will want you to have it too, and it's very easy to fall into that. And so it's very important that we take charge of our own health and do what's best for us. And hopefully you can bring other people along with you. It makes it that much easier, and that's part of what I do.
Are you local in the area?
Yep. I live in Lexington.
What's your website?
It's called thevitalblend.com. And that goes right to my Facebook page. So does anybody have anything else? Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Sandy. Thank you guys very, very much, and I hope to talk to more of you.
Thank you. So I just met Anthony. Yeah, I was thrilled when he came to this class, and he lives here. He's lived here for a long time, and he saw this, and glad he got tapped in. So I'm ready to go switch to a PowerPoint, Dan, if you can do that. I don't need my face on the screen. So what we've been doing all along from January was talking about the laws of health. New Start is a acronym. If you turn I don't have a clicker, right, Dan? So I'm just going to say, Dan, go for it. Go for it. So the laws of health, New Start, was developed by a Seventh-day Adventist out in California. And New Start is the acronym that we follow. Sarah and Jeremiah talked to you about nutrition the first night. Heidi talked to you about exercise. Teresa talked to you about water. Sunlight was brought to you by Michelle. Temperance. And then today I'm talking about air and rest. Next week you'll get the tea. But today, air and rest. Air is the breath of life, and I would just like to start with some scriptures because Genesis 2:7, in the very beginning, we are creation scientists that believe Genesis story, that we are created by God, and I really appreciate that when you believe that, you're different than the atheist, because the atheists might not know their purpose in life, because where did we come from? Some globs, We were created by God. He breathed his breath of life into us. And that's what Scripture says. And according to Psalm, when we die, the breath of life returns to God. Dan? So that's where I'm headed with this. Oxygen, if you know, all these things are tied in together, but oxygen is the most important need that we have because you can't live very long without oxygen. You can live a little bit longer without water and a little bit longer without food, but oxygen is like right at the top, I think, on the list. So air is mostly nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and then, so, we breathe it in, we need it, the bloodstream carries it to the rest of the body, and oxygen reacts with the body's main fuel, glucose, to provide energy. Some benefits include a healthful circulation of the blood. It refreshes and strengthens the body. The pure air soothes the nerves and gives the mind composure and serenity, so you can get a peaceful calm if you have a nice fresh air. It invigorates the appetite and helps food to digest properly. It even helps getting a proper night's sleep. If you can put a crack in your window, you'll get some fresh air at night. Maybe that's why I always loved camping. When I was in college, like every weekend in October, I was never at church. Every weekend in October, I was camping. So negatively charged air, listen, I'm not an expert here. My degree is not in nutrition or medical field or anything, so a lot of you probably know more about this than me, but I'm just going to share what I learned from the New Start program. Negatively charged air, did you know that fresh air is chemically different than the recirculated air that we're breathing right now in the gymnasium? The high quality air is electrified. You want negatively charged air. So negatively charged air gives you an improved sense of well-being. It increases the rate and quality of growth in plants and animals. It improves your function of the lungs' protective cilia. It gives you a decreased anxiety. If you're anxious, go out. You know, not only do you get the exercise, which is one of the New Start exercise, but the fresh air. So, you know, working in the gym, that's one thing, but to do it outside is even better because you get the fresh air in your lungs to help you decrease your anxiety. It lowers your body temperature. Also, it lowers your resting heart rate, decreases your the survival of airborne bacteria and viruses. When I had a virus in September, I was grateful that it was September because you know what I did? I took my pillow and a little blankie in September. It was beautiful. I laid out on the children's trampoline almost all day long. I was just laying on the trampoline, breathing in fresh air, getting the sunshine. That I think Michelle talked about sunshine. So I was getting all the fresh air that I could. And then at night, you know, we had our windows open, and I was thankful it was not winter because I was just living on the trampoline for a while with that virus. Decreased severity of stomach ulcers, improved learning in mammals and children with or without learning disabilities. The negatively charged air shows improvement in the brain function. Also, negatively charged air is, what is that? Good quality negatively ionized air is found in natural outdoor environments, especially good if you are at the evergreen trees, a beach surf, post-thunderstorm. Maybe that's why we like to go out right after a thunderstorm. It just, doesn't that fresh air just feel wonderful? And so, you know, if you're stuck inside for a desk job, you know, you can get some potted plants to help give you some fresh air. And get out in nature as much as you can. The negatively charged air is destroyed by recirculating air in buildings. Also, tobacco smoke, city smog, and other pollutants. So we want to avoid that as much as possible. We also know some best practices include, you know, good posture. If you stand and sit straight, you can breathe better. And so you want to not slouch. It helps you with your breathing if your posture is good. You want to open the windows as much as possible at your house or your office place. You know, radon is a more common phenomenon than people realize. But if you open your windows, that's all you need to do. The radon goes out the window, the fresh air comes in. So radon will be taken care of with opening the windows. There's also formaldehyde in pressed wood products such as paneling that may or may not be in your house. But stuff like that, you know, you want to just open your windows, have good fresh air, and it will help you be more at peace and sleep better and such. So you can maintain proper body weight to breathe easily and avoid sleep apnea. That's just another thing. If you're overweight, it might cause sleep apnea and you have problems breathing. So that's a best practice. Of course, if you are a smoker, it would help if you can quit. If you're not a smoker, it can help if you just not start and avoid it. So that was pretty much my talk on air. I'm not a professional on air, so I'm sure I missed a lot of information, but that was it in a nutshell. And that brings me to rest. Rest is essential to physical, mental, and spiritual health, and I hope that the next several slides makes that point clear. But it's very important for our physical and our mental health to sleep like 8 hours a day. We're sleeping a third of our life away, but it's not wasted time. We need it. We have to have it. While sleeping, the body heals and repairs itself, and the mental faculties are restored. And then a point here at the bottom is that in order for your body to repair during sleep, your whole body needs to rest. And this might be a sticking point that we maybe haven't thought about before, but our stomach needs to rest. And I'll talk more about that on a future slide. So here's the 5 stages of sleeping that the scientists differentiate based on EEG, reading the brainwave frequency and amplitude, and checking the eye movements and the muscle movements. So that's kind of what defines the stages. You're easily awakened if it's just 5 to 15 minutes. You might have sudden muscle contraction. It's a very light sleep. And then stage 2 is after you've been in stage 1 for at least 10 minutes. You're going to have an increase in muscle tone, but you're also going to have muscle relaxation. Your heart rate slows, your body temperature decreases, and then after about 15, 20 minutes in stage 2, you enter stage 3. Stage 3 and 4 are the very important stages, okay? Stage 3 is a deeper stage. You're usually very still, and it's when the repair takes place. You could feel disoriented if someone wakes you up at this point. And stage 4 is the deepest stage where you're going to regenerate your tissue and build bone and muscle. Stage 3 and 4 are very critical. So stage 5 might be after about 90 minutes of sleep, where you have the REM. The other 4 stages are not rapid eye movement. So stage 5, you have heightened brain activity, but even though your brain is waking up and doing things, your muscles are not moving. So your pulse and respirations increase, and this is the dream stage. Okay, so next one is sleep before midnight. You know that saying, early to bed, early to rise, makes the person healthy, wealthy, and wise, something like that. It's true, because the best sleep occurs in the hours before midnight. And we say that sleep before midnight counts double in terms of rest towards healing and repair. It's been shown that early in the night we have more slow delta wave or non-REM sleep, which is more reparative for our bodies. So it's best if you can get more sleep before midnight. Later in the night or earlier in the morning, there's a greater propensity for the REM sleep. So I have 2 slides. The first one is your to-do list. So you thought you were coming for a recipe for scrambled tofu and waffles, but it's really a recipe for good sleep, good rest. Did you know that you need a quiet, dark, well-ventilated room? Sean gets so mad on full moons because it's so bright. But you know what I learned in doing this research? If you are in a dark room, it helps the melatonin. And so the melatonin, you need the melatonin for your sleep, and the melatonin production is spawned on by darkness. Isn't that crazy? So yes, I'm going to get to that one too. So you want quiet, you want dark, and you want well ventilated, like we talked about the air a minute ago. You want well ventilated. And then eat a balanced diet during the day that's rich in plant-based carbs and tryptophan. Now, tryptophan is an amino acid necessary for producing serotonin and melatonin. Someone tell me, is that the same stuff that's in turkeys? Yes. Okay. Thanksgiving, you get your tryptophan if you're not vegetarian, right? But the vegetarians amongst us, you can get it in tofu. So you just had some, right? You got tryptophan in the tofu, and the sesame seeds were in the waffles. Okay? It's also in pumpkin seeds, almonds, walnuts, black-eyed peas, etc. Here's the sticking point. If you didn't know this before, empty stomach at least 4 hours before sleep. Now, if we're supposed to go, the time before midnight counts double time. If they're saying you need to go to bed by like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, then back that out 4 hours. So if you say 9 o'clock is bedtime, that gives you 3 hours before midnight. So 9 minus 4 takes you to 5 o'clock. You don't want to eat after 5 o'clock. Ooh, that's a sticking point, because Americans like their social time, and you get home from work and it's late, and that's a problem. So this might be something that, if you haven't heard this before, it might be a new point to think about, because you want your whole body needs to rest, for 8 hours, and your stomach's not going to rest if you just ate. So think about that. It also helps if you have moderate physical activity during the day. If you recall, when Heidi presented her exercise, I raised my hand and made my little comment I learned in health class way back when in college. Exercise in the morning changes your metabolism, and it really increases and helps you sleep better at night. It's okay to exercise any time of the day, but the later you do it in the day, the more difficult, it helps you less with your sleep. So the optimal time to exercise is in the morning. But yeah, physical activity helps you sleep better. And of course, having a routine schedule, you always wake up and go to sleep at the same time, and you want to aim for 8 hours. And also, if you have a clear conscience, it helps you sleep better. So, if you owe someone an apology, I can't sleep, or beep, 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 Sean, I'm really sorry for being a jerk today. Please forgive me. Let me go to sleep now. Okay, next. Okay, recipe for restful sleep. This is the to avoid list. All right, so we want to avoid sleep-depriving substances such as alcohol that robs the body of a deep sleep, caffeine and other stimulants that interfere with sleep, and tobacco because you're going to have a nicotine withdrawal when you're in your sleep, so it's going to interrupt your sleep. So just things to avoid. Proper sleep is one of the most important elements in a healing process. So if you're sick, right? If you're sick, you really need lots of sleep. Please don't go to work. Please. First of all, you don't want to share your germs, but you need the rest. Whether you know you have a million things to do or not, just get your rest so you can heal. As Sean mentioned a second ago, the TV, the computer screens, artificial lights, caffeine, all these things that we're doing these days, they have an effect so that the people sleeping on average 1 hour less than what their grandparents did, because their grandparents didn't do this list, right? So that's, something to think about. Chronic sleep loss may not only increase the severity, but also hasten the onset of age-related diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, obesity, memory loss. People don't think about this. People are associating these diseases with what you're eating, or maybe you're not exercising. Sleep is a huge factor to consider. Miss Nina has a comment. Do we have a yellow mic? And while we're running that mic tour, the sleep debt has a harmful impact on carbohydrate metabolism and endocrine function. So sleep affects your health more than you realize.
All of those diseases that are mentioned there all have one thing in common, which also shares in common with sleep loss. All of that has a basis of inflammation. So chronic sleep loss contributes to inflammation, and all of those diseases have inflammation as a source.
Thank you, Miss Nina. All right, next, please. Sleep medications. We don't recommend sleep medications because it can often suppress the stage 5 sleep. So when you wake up, you may not feel as refreshed in spite of what seems like you got sleep. And secondly, if you do it over time and you continue sleep medications, it could contribute to chronic fatigue and may lessen mental performance. So I would recommend avoiding sleep medications. Some other considerations is you really want to target 8 hours, plus or minus a little bit. Don't deviate too far from 8 hours, because if you sleep less than 6.5 hours a night, as the study shows that 50% higher insulin levels than people who slept close to 8 hours. And if that insulin level increases, then it can result in weight gain, high blood pressure, coronary artery disease, stroke, increased cholesterol levels. Right? So this is not what we want to happen. So we want to stick close to 8 hours. If a decrease in sleep duration impairs your immune function, so when you're sick, you need the sleep, right? And when you're not sick, you need the sleep so that your immunity is strong. Inadequate sleep significantly increases the risk of depression. Some studies showed that. And oversleeping increases the odds of mental illness. So you don't want to go too far. If you get more than 9 hours, that can be a problem too. So you really want to stick close to 8. Here's an interesting, I'm getting towards the conclusion. Sorry, we're getting tight on time. The time measurements. Have you ever thought about where our week comes from? The day, the month, the year. The scientists will tell you it's all science, okay? What do scientists say about where the week comes from? They don't know why the 7-day cycle is so common in cultures around the world, since it's not based on solar, lunar patterns. Where did it come from? Next slide. So we read in Genesis 2 that the weekly cycle was initiated at creation. That's why the scientists don't know where it came from, because not all scientists want to look at the Bible. But the creation scientists that, our church members would be, if they become scientists, they would become creation scientists, not evolution scientists. But Genesis 2 says, and on the seventh day, that's your week right there. That's where it came from. On the seventh day, God ended his work, which he had done. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work, which he had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work, which God had created and made. And some people say, well, I just look at the New Testament, so I ignore the Old Testament. The Old is done away with. If you're that kind of person, it's in the New Testament as well, so you can't throw it out the window. Hebrews says, there remains therefore a rest for the people of God. For he who has entered his rest has himself also ceased from his works as God did from his. It's telling us that God rested from his. Did God need to rest? No, he doesn't need to rest, but he knows that he's sanctifying a day to call it a day. Sandi, you worship me on this day. This is my day that